Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure tonight to present to you the 2016 edition of the Swiss Alternative Funds Awards. And this year we have followed pretty much the same format as in the previous edition. That means that our focus is on single strategy managers and fund of funds accessible to the Swiss investors. And this year we have the following 4 award categories: Best Swiss Hedge Fund, Best UCITS Hedge Fund, Best Swiss Fund of Hedge Funds, and Best Retail Fund of Hedge Funds. Now, this whole event wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for 3 Swiss expert firms in the field of the alternative investments working closely together to achieve the results we are presenting to you tonight. And those firms are HedgeGate, which is an expert firm in the evaluation of fund of hedge funds, and they focus on providing value-added services to fund of hedge fund investors, such as prize publications, fund ratings, and educational events. Then we have Crossbow Partners, which is a dedicated specialist firm for global fund investments, and they offer tailor-made multi-manager solutions, and they focus on manager selection and asset allocation. And I am the founder of HedgePo, and our firm is an independent service provider which specializes in collection and processing of hedge fund prices and reference data. And we also offer middle office services. Now, all of the managers who have been taking part in this year's edition of the awards have been asked to submit their nominations using Hedge Data. And Hedge Data is a dedicated data and technology platform which links electronically all the participants of the alternative investments industry, which has been designed to increase the rates of the straight-through processing and reduce the operational risk, and also serve as the central data repository for all the community participants. And the reason which it has been designed and developed for is to shape the future of the hedge fund industry and to provide top service to your investors. Moving on with the awards, I must say that this year's evaluation process wasn't easy. We have received about 100 nominations, which we have thoroughly reviewed. We had very, very strong contestants in every category, and there was quite some debate within the jury before we could establish who should be the winners. So before I hand over to Stefan, who will then tell you more about the assessment process, I would like to thank all the managers who took their time to submit their nominations, and of course to congratulate those managers who have already been shortlisted.
Thank you, Joanna. Good evening, everybody. We had a little bit a lower participation this time compared to last time, and this could be for a number of reasons. I think one was certainly it was a tough year, so a lot of funds actually didn't perform as well as what they have expected, and I guess if you are coming up with a negative performance, there is not much of a point to participate. Then we have a number of funds, especially in Switzerland. You know, some of these large London-based funds that moved over, who are hard closed and don't need further investments, they also, by and large, didn't participate. And then we have a few guys who probably don't care about awards, but that's probably a small group. When we go to the assessment process, we have 2 layers: the quantitative screening process and then the qualitative overlay. The first one looks at alpha produced compared to the hedge fund style benchmark. So, for example, for a relative value hedge funds, we would compare the performance to the relative value group or benchmark provided by HFRI. The second one would be the performance over a market benchmark. So we also want to know how they behaved within their market segment. Now, in relative value, for example, we would use actually a LIBOR plus 400 basis points or 4% level. For a long-short equity fund, we would actually go and compare to the MSCI. And for a credit fund, it would be the global high-yield benchmark. We are also looking at absolute performance, and you will see in one category, we came up with only 3 nominations because only 3 in the end really produce positive returns, and you don't want to award somebody who has been losing money for investors. We look at risk-adjusted returns by using the Sharpe ratio, so simply return over volatility. And finally, we look at the drawdown that the fund had historically. This then gives us a short list of about 8 to 10 funds out of the universe that was, somewhere between 20 and 50 funds, depending on the category. And these 10 funds are then further reduced to the 5 that were nominated. In the qualitative overlay, we look at, is it really a hedge fund? So we wouldn't actually nominate a portfolio that does just long-only direct lending or some other strategy that has hedge fund fees, but is not really hedging in one or the other way, or is not trying to extract value or reduce risk through a short book. We are also looking at the length of the track record, although the emphasis is on the last year and a little bit longer. In terms of single hedge funds, it's the last 2 years. In terms of fund of funds, the last 4 years, whereas the last year counts most. But if in the end, a hedge fund is only up and running for 2 years, obviously that's not the same like somebody who has been doing that successfully for 10 years. Then we look at the quality of returns. Obviously, you would like to achieve good numbers consistently with low volatility compared to somebody who is up and down heavily in various years. And finally, we look whether the decision making has been done in Switzerland. It should be a Swiss award in the end. And so there is a category, the first one, which are offshore funds or onshore funds, but the manager is in Switzerland. And so from that short list, we drill down then to the 5 in this top screen that have been doing best given the quantitative and the qualitative assessment. Now let's have a quick look, and then we are coming to the nominations already. Who was in the jury this year? So all of these participants, they have no product in the universe of their own, or are also not affiliated to any of the firms that have been participating. So these 5 people, including on the up, it's Georg Stucki, Joanna, who is just here, Oliver Lichti, and myself, came up then with the nominations. And so the nominations for the best Swiss hedge fund have been Agora Fund Limited from Pictet Asset Management, Blue Diamond Non-Directional Fund from Blue Diamond, Questa Capital V Pro Fund from Questa Capital, RAM Long Short European Equities Fund from RAM, and Trias Long Short Fund from Entrepreneur Partners. And the winner is the RAM long-short European equities fund. If somebody is here representing that fund, please come up quickly and get... So, herzliche Gratulation. Willst du etwas sagen, kurz?
In English, in German?
English is probably easier. Haben wir the mic that we usually use for the questions? Sorry.
Thank you. No, so just to thank you, to thank the jury, and say that there is big robustness in these processes, because also on the long-only side, it's with the same team and process and comparable processes you have track, which are longer than 13 years, and therefore we are happy to contribute to the Swiss financial place. So, and thank you for this event.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again. So we come to the nominations of the best UCITS hedge fund. For last year, that was the Helium Performance Fund by Cyquant Capital. Then we have the Noran Select Fund by Noran, HI Principia Fund by Hedge Invest, the Old Mutual UK Dynamic Equity Fund by Old Mutual, and our Payrus Fund by Payrus Finance in a combination or distributed by the Rothschild Bank. And here the winner is the Old Mutual UK Dynamic Equity Fund. Mr. Isler was supposed to be here but had to go on a business trip last minute, so nobody is able to pick up the prize. We will send it to him tomorrow or at a later stage. Now I hand over to Joanna again for the Fund of Funds.
So the nominations for the best Swiss fund of hedge funds are UniHedge Diversified Unigestion, Multi-Strategy SICAF Pendulum from Notz Stucki, Narapuno Spectrum from Ayaltis, PAF World Equity Hedge from Pictet, and Credit Suisse Prime Select Trust Lux Global Equities Long Short, obviously from Credit Suisse. And the winner is Multi-Strategy SICAF Pendulum from Notz Stucki. Do we have somebody representing the winner? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Please.
I would like to thank, in the first place, the organization, the Swiss Institute, and also Canton Schwyz for having us here. And thank you very much for this reward. Sebastian and myself, we have restructured the fund that had 15 years existence back in 2009. And I think since 2009, we have done, I think, the proper job to deliver to our clients steady returns. And I think there was a Professor Tojani who mentioned skill or talent. I think sometimes in this market, which is quite politically driven, skill sometimes is difficult, and to be lucky, it's right, it's helpful. But I think we have done a proper job. And I would like to thank Sebastian also, who has co-managed this fund with me. Maybe you want to say a word.
Thank you, Ilmi. Just a couple of words on the fund itself. It's more than 15 years of track record, annualized performance of more than 6% net, volatility below 3%, and more importantly, we have a beta to the MSCI World of less than 0.1. So if we can continue to achieve this performance, our investors will be quite pleased. But thanks again for organizing this great event. Thank you very much.
And now we have the last category of tonight's awards, Best Retail Fund of Hedge Funds. And the nominations went to HSBC GH Fund from HSBC, Pictet Select Callisto from Pictet, and Swiss Canto CH Alternative Fund Diversified from Zürcher Kantonalbank. And the winner is HSBC GH Fund. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you like to say something?
Thank you very much to the jury. I'll definitely pass it on to the team. They are in London. And I guess a big part of this award is really the emphasis they put on the due diligence they conduct on the underlying funds, qualitative, quantitative, but also operational. Thank you.
So, we have announced all the awards winners, and we thank everybody for participating, and we welcome you to join the awards in the next edition. Thank you. I believe there is a picture.
Was jetzt?
Willst du den halten?
Ja, das ist der.